against same-sex marriage. Now you're for it. You defended President Obama's immigration policies. Now you say they're too harsh. You supported his trade deal dozens of times. You even called it the gold standard. Now, suddenly last week, you're against it. Will you say anything to get elected?
Well, actually, I have been very consistent over the course of my entire life. I have always fought for the same values. And
okay, so this is an example of what Facebook does to people. I hear people complaining about it all the time. Never happened to me before, but I was posting to, first I posted to my groups, and then I started posting to other groups. Nothing unusual here. I mean, it's just a post of my news, my news story for, I think on Friday I made it. So, I didn't post to very many groups even, but you should be able to post to as many groups as you're in. I mean, as long as you don't spam those groups and but I hadn't even put one post yet. So, I mean, what they're doing is wrong. And, so they've said till December 9th I can't make posts like this. So this is a comment on something somebody else posted in my group. I mean, it's my group. I'm admin. I created the group, and it's crazy, you know, that Facebook would either automatically or some asshole, right? I mean, that's the only two explanations. Either it automatically did this or some asshole's doing it. Either one is unacceptable, right? I mean, it's not fair. And I mean, it doesn't hurt me. It hurts them because I'm going to post this. I can still post to my group. So I can make posts like this. So I'll be posting my news to this group, just like I posted my news here. They're complaining about some troll in the group. I'm gonna let him troll for a little while because I like to see him fight. My peeps destroy him every time, so it's cool.
Do you think New York State should recognize gay marriage?
no.
No. Okay.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman.
I have not supported same-sex marriage. I have supported civil partnerships and contractual relationships.
I support marriage for lesbian and gay couples. I support it personally and as a matter of policy and law.
So you're saying your opinion on gay marriage changed, or you changed your mind?
I have to say, I think you are being very persistent, but you are playing with my words and playing with what is such an
I'm just trying to clarify
issue.
So I can understand.
No, I don't think you are trying to clarify. I think you're trying to say that, I used to be opposed and now I'm in favor and I did it for political reasons, and that's just flat wrong. So let me just state what I feel like you are implying and repudiate it. I have a strong record. I have a great commitment to this issue, and I am proud of what I've done and the progress we're making.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to clarify what I was saying. No, I was saying that you maybe really believed this all along, but, believed in gay marriage all along, but felt for political reasons America wasn't ready yet and you couldn't say it. That's what I was thinking.
No, that is not true.
It really is great how long you've supported gay marriage.
Yes.
I could have supported it sooner. Well, you did it pretty soon. Could have been sooner. Fair point.
Stephen, Steffen, posted this, which I've seen before. And, yeah, I can't respond directly to the post. I said, Woody's a local here, and it may seem like the whole world is corrupt, but the truth is, most people here are good people who are just very simple, and therefore will simply follow the money wherever it goes. Now, when I say that about Kentuckians, there's no money to follow. I mean, yeah, food stamps and a few things like that. I guess workers' comp is what a lot of them get. But it's not like they're getting a whole lot of money from the government here. The money they're following is maybe what few jobs there are. Maybe what few successful businesses there are. I mean, this is reality on the ground, and I think most people are familiar with it. Now, it's probably different in red states than blue states. So in this state, you know, they're all following the Mitch McConnells and the, you know, the Reds, the Republicans, and the business people and what have you. And so, you know, I mean, just to speak about this subject for a moment, you know, Woody's had his say, and he's right, but at the same time, the system is changing. We will take over the system. I know it's frustrating because it takes time, and I know a lot of people are talking about their state and not my state. Kentucky, you know, I actually live in 2 or 3 different places because I have political activities in all of them, and all of them are very red, very Republican, but that's changing a lot, or it's going to very soon. And I think everybody feels that. I think the reason is simply because the capitalist system is unsustainable. So while it may be working for a segment of the population in all these little towns and cities and stuff, it's not working for a lot of the people, other segments in these towns and cities, and it's very fragile. And they're very afraid that it's going to collapse. So they're looking for something else. And here we are, right? I mean, progressives have been saying for a long time, look, we can do it. We can figure out a way to rebuild after the collapse, or kind of rebuild during the collapse, to replace the infrastructure, the systems that cushion the blow, right, from the collapse of capitalism. And they're going to be looking for somebody, and we're the only people who are going to be there, because the rich will just withdraw into their little castles and close their gates and hide behind their walls, figuratively speaking, while we scramble to make some kind of sense out of the disaster they leave behind, right? And the corporations aren't going to do anything. I mean, it's not like Walmart's going to step in and Kroger's is going to step in. They're just going to be there waiting for the people who have money to buy shit from them, right? and kind of pretending like none of this is their fault. Well, whose fault would it be? Just the average people who have nothing to do with it? I mean, clearly, they don't own any piece of the system that's collapsing. So, yeah, I mean, our government has got to be taken over by the people, because there'll be nobody there. I mean, the people who will be in there will be the people who they will have no power anymore, because nobody wants to take responsibility. I mean, they'll be the people who be left holding the bag, right? And they won't have any answers, so they won't have any choice but to accept our rule. You know, we'll vote, and no doubt they'll put their people up, but who's going to vote for them when they're sitting there with their dick in their hands, you know? So obviously it's going to be that kind of political atmosphere, and in that political atmosphere, you know, the radio advertising, the TV advertising, cable, internet even advertising, it all falls on deaf ears, because they're looking for somebody who actually gives a shit. And at that point it'll be boots on the ground, and so we'll take our little armies and we'll march around and we'll get the votes. That's how you do it, Woody. I know it's hard to believe, but you'll see it happen. Progressives will win with boots on the ground in 2018. And they're already doing it, by the way. When I listen to progressives who are winning constantly now, I mean, every race I hear about is about a progressive winning. And how did they win? They won by going door to door. Because the Republicans don't have the message to take door to door. I mean, they take their message door to door now, and people are just too smart to fall for it. So, and they love our message. I mean, our message is coming from people from the heart, right? Their message is coming from corruption and illegitimacy, and it falls on deaf ears. I mean, people just... I've said it over and over again, you know, the truth has a life of its own. And so, at some point, I've always been saying that it's a question of time, right? I mean, this is the time. So, as they take their message through all their media and everything to people don't buy into it anymore. But they do buy into the heartfelt, selfless message of the progressive movement. I mean, that's the only explanation for why progressives are winning like crazy, and without the media, right? I mean, the media is obviously falling on deaf ears. I don't even, you know, I think a lot of people are like me. They don't even turn on the TV hardly anymore. And hopefully we will be able to continue to pick our media. I mean, you look at me right now. Look at what I'm looking at. I'm not watching TV. I'm not even watching YouTube that's tailored by the right wing for me, to program me, to propagandize me. When I get on the computer, I can avoid all that. Now, if I were to switch on the TV and watch that, I wouldn't be able to control that. But here I can control it, and I think that's what's happening is, hundreds of millions of people are switching over to the computer so that they can, or computerized television, like TV boxes and stuff. So then they can pick what they want to watch on YouTube or on their computer, basically, or their TV, their computerized TV. A lot of people insist, even amongst Republicans and right-wingers, I hear them saying to each other, don't get a TV unless it's a smart TV. So I think what they're saying when they say that is, don't get a TV unless it's a TV that you can control, right? Because I think people are tired of this, what do you call it? It's very subtle. The way that they're programming and propagandizing people, they're very subtle, huh? They make programs and they create media that subtly programs you to believe in their message. So, you watch TV all day and they're constantly trying to convince you that people who look a certain way are acting in your best interest. And I think that message is kind of dead anyway. The idea that blue-eyed blonde people somehow actually have my interest in mind when they're either talking or forcing us to let them run the world. Because why? And I'm not saying just blue-eyed blonde people, but blue-eyed blonde people is kind of the fascist, idealistic, kind of right-wing message that's being forced upon us, right? So the idea that they have my interest in mind or your interest in mind. And of course, we know whose interest they have in mind, right? Them and their flunkies. And they're pretty much just flunkies for the ultra-rich. So we're talking about corporations here. Well, we're talking about, corporations include millions of people like you and me who just simply buy stock and stuff like that. We're not the corporations. And the millions of people who are part of the corporations aren't really the corporations. Corporations are simply a tool that are run by a small group of rich people. And they're working in their own interest. I mean, some of them may still be idealistically trying to work for the people and help the people, but they're just stooges, right? I mean, they're just bumbling idiots who are trying to legitimize the corruption at the top. So, Woody, how do we beat them? We're beating them. And this is probably something that was said a long time ago. Woody's probably even starting to see it. I mean, who can ignore it? Who can ignore the fact that we're winning? And that it's obvious unless they do something really rash, like net neutrality. Like I get on one day, well, I mean, this might be an example of the end of net neutrality, where Facebook is trying to keep, but as long as
Do you think New York State should recognize gay marriage?
No.
No. Okay.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman. I have not supported same-sex marriage. I have supported civil partnerships and contractual relationships.
I support marriage for lesbian and gay couples. I support it personally and as a matter of policy and law.
So you're saying your opinion on gay marriage changed, or you changed your mind?
I have to say, I think you are being very persistent, but you are playing with my words and playing with what is such an
I'm just trying to clarify
issue.
so I can understand.
No, I don't think you are trying to clarify. I think you're trying to say that, I used to be opposed and now I'm in favor and I did it for political reasons, and that's just flat wrong. So let me just state what I feel like you are implying and repudiate it. I have a strong record. I have a great commitment to this issue, and I am proud of what I've done and the progress we're making.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to clarify what I was saying. No, I was saying that you maybe really believed this all along, but, believed in gay marriage all along, but felt for political reasons America wasn't ready yet and you couldn't say it. That's what I was thinking.
No, that is not true.
It really is great how long you've supported gay marriage.
Yes.
I could have supported it sooner. Well, you did it pretty soon. Could have been sooner. Fair point.
In July, New Hampshire, you told the crowd you, quote, take a backseat to no one when it comes to progressive values.
I take a backseat to no one when you look at my record and standing up and fighting for progressive values.
Last month in Ohio, you said you plead guilty to, quote, being kind of moderate and center. Do you change your political identity based on who you're talking to?
No, I think that, like most people that I know, I have a range of views, but they are rooted in my values and my experience.
I get accused of being kind of moderate and center. I plead guilty.
Just for the record, are you a progressive or are you a moderate?
I'm a
I watch my own show, which I love to watch my own show. I find it very interesting, even though I made it, I find it interesting to watch. Segments like this where I'm talking about it, and segments about lately I've been all about the judicial system, the justice system, and how corrupt it is at its very basis, right? I mean, it's just completely set up to, it's just basically set up to push the agenda of the small townies and their, right-wing racist, whatever. And in my case, they're really set up to go after anybody who isn't them. So they're attacking me right now, and that's not going to work. And that's the, that's the uplifting message. There still is the concept of justice inside this corrupt justice system. And I'm not going to get into the corrupt justice system right now because that's not what we're talking about. So, just to finish this off, Woody is he's a very negative person, which is good because he's negative about things that are very negative. And that's two negatives make a positive, That's both physics, and social. I mean, it's true. If you've got something really negative like the corrupt police state, the corrupt social state, whatever you want to call this, then you need a very negative response. in order to create a positive out of that, to get change. You need to butt heads. And that's what, you know, people like Woody are he's trying to motivate people. I mean, he says here in this statement that they used, and here's a little anonymous sticker, by the way, down here. So, Anonymous is using something that Woody said, and that's all good. It's important to be negative about negative things, about the negative corporate, I prefer to call them establishment, because that's what they really are. When you take them as a whole, the ultra-rich, the corporations, the government, that's all, when you isolate those small groups and their negative effect upon the rest of us, that's the establishment. Because, I mean, there's just normal people in all of them. There's normal people in the corporations, there's normal people in the government. The only place there isn't normal people, except for a few maybe, is in the ultra-rich. So why does it not surprise me that when I look at it in that way, it's kind of a three-legged machine of death, right? I mean, it's what it is. So, yeah, we need to fight that. And you know what? They're very intelligent people, except for the dogma that they've accepted that is completely irrational. But they're educated. So, and in the end, they will deal with us, rather than be completely shut down, or even worse if it comes to some kind of rebellion or something. I mean, these are all things that we have to avoid at all costs, because they will cause untold destruction amongst us and amongst the most vulnerable. Not people like me. People like me will not. I mean, they're already doing the worst to me that they can do. They actually got to hear some of this stuff like what I'm saying to you right now, and they're doing everything they can to absolutely destroy me. But guess what? You can't do that to Americans. I mean, we're protected by freedom of speech, and you know, well, let's face it, my message is very anti-rebellion. I mean, I even come down hard on the little rebels that pop up in my groups and stuff. So so they got nothing, you know, on me. I mean, I'm very much willing to work with them to mitigate what is obviously going to be a very negative situation on both sides if they collide and things start to collapse. So it's not me. I'm looking at trying to, like I said, mitigate some of the damage.
As to the tactics that we've spent for the last 40 years on the left, in terms of our strategy, in terms of the things that we talk about, in terms of the things that we pay attention to. Obviously.
See, this is why I don't pay much attention to even progressives. I mean, these guys are called real progressives. And they're going to drone on and on and on about the tax thing and Republicans. And what's there to say, really? You know, we all know what the Republicans are up to. We all know what Trump working with the Republicans. We all know what this tax bill is about. You know, getting them to not pay in. And you know what? We've got to learn to live in that world. You know, the rich don't want to pay into the tax system, then fine. Let's make it so that they don't benefit from the tax system. We will take over. We will win elections. And, you know, the money that they're sucking up through the defense industry and through, by diverting revenues, i.e. our money, because we pay the vast amount of the taxes. I mean, it's the hundreds of, or 100 or so million, whatever it is, who work every day, who get up every morning and go do their jobs, which are essential to the economy. I mean, if we weren't doing that, then you'd wake up on, you know, for us it's Friday morning, and none of the garbage trucks would be picking anything up. The electric wouldn't be on. You know, I mean, there's just a multitude of things that wouldn't work if we didn't. So, you know, it's our taxes. It's our everyday. It's the everyday American who gets up and works and isn't CEO or whatever, you know, their jobs, their little bits of it. And, you know, we don't need them. They don't want to pay their taxes. Well, we can find ways to make that difficult for them too, right? I mean, how difficult do they make it for us if we don't want to pay our taxes? That's not even an option for us, right? We go to jail. Tax evasion. So let's do the same for them, except for we won't put them in jail. We'll just take over the system and end their hypocrisy. We won't allow them to divert the money that we're putting in away from us, which is exactly what they're doing. Okay? You people need to learn to listen to me. I hate to sound egotistical and arrogant, because I'm not. What I am is I'm passing along, well, brilliant thought to you. You know, avoid the collision with them. Concentrate on just simply getting justice. I mean, this is social justice. So we get our people elected in. I mean, we have the ultimate tool, and that's democracy. I mean, it does still exist. We can have fair elections. We can regulate our elections and make sure that we get what we want. And what we want is for our money, not their money. Fuck their money. You know, we don't even want their money. Their money pollutes our systems. So we take over politically and then take over the systems, because after you take over politically, you're not done. You have to take over the systems. You have to take over the legal system. You have to put in your own judges so that you can get justice. That's what I've been talking about for the last 2 months, because I'm being persecuted in that area. But then you have to do that in all the other areas. So you will take back all the electrical, water, everything that they've tried to privatize. They can't have all that stuff. That stuff belongs to us, you know. And after we get done doing all that, we try and take over the basic goods and services. So we regulate food, You know, we make sure that people can get food stamps who don't have a job and things like that, and basic income and all that kind of stuff. And slowly but surely, we take over what's ours. I mean, not what's theirs. They can continue to, you know, go to San Moritz and have their fancy lifestyles and whatever, but not at our expense anymore. See, there's always a legitimate way of doing these things, and we will do them that way. And the rich, I still say that we cut a deal with them. You know, we guarantee them that they can have their la-di-da fancy lives. I mean, it sounds wonderful for them, right? But at the same time, won't they become isolated? It's just like with Israel. We tell them, okay, you can have your, you know, you can kick all the Palestinians around and kick them all out of the country. But we will get together with the rest of the world and create a Palestinian state somewhere and take all the money that we give to you and therefore isolate Israel. And then, you know, they get everything they want, but then they find out, well, gee, but we're all by ourselves and nobody wants to have anything to do with us. You know, it's just like that person on the block that's a big pain in the ass for everybody on the block. And then everybody on the block says, fuck them, just let them do whatever they want, but we isolate them so that they don't hurt us anymore. And then all of a sudden those people are like, oh, okay, so I got everything I wanted and now I'm not happy. That's life. That's how it ends up. That's how the rich end up. They end up, oh, we got everything we wanted and we're still not happy. That's it. That's how it works. I mean, that's how y'all want justice. Y'all want, you know, restitution and all these things. Well, that's how you get it. It's just kind of built into the fabric of the universe. It's karma. It happens all the time. I see it happen over and over and over again. Every rich friend that I've ever had. I mean, can you imagine? This one guy's such a dork. And the last thing I heard about him was he got mad because his mom wouldn't buy him a piano. I mean, these are the rich for you. And so, now while you and I probably hate these people, and by the way, this is Bill Hewlett's wife, and I'm not saying anything bad about her, or I thought that Bill Hewlett was a wonderful guy, but her sons were a disaster beyond compare. And she married Bill Hewlett when I was younger, and I knew her sons. So anyway, so the last thing I heard about them was he shows up. I mean, she's lucky she's not dead, right? Because he shows up at her door with a shotgun, points it in her face, saying that she's so mean and unfair because she didn't buy him this piano. Like, I mean, come on, people, your parents, sure, they are kind of responsible for bringing you into the world, and yeah, they shouldn't let you suffer in this world while you're here, because they brought you in. But at the same time, you take a shotgun, point it in their face, and what's next? Pull the trigger? I mean, this is really scary stuff, right? So, all I'm saying is that, you know, what comes around goes around. You know, your comeuppance. It's all real. It's all too real. I mean, I've just seen it over and over again. Everybody who I know who kind of tweaks the system in their favor in order to, out of fear or whatever, ends up suffering for that. So don't be too upset that they've got it all going their way right now. Yeah, they managed to get their Ronnie Rump in, and I refer to him as Ronnie Rump because he's an attempt to, he's attempting to channel Ronald Reagan, right? I mean, this piece of shit with a flying hairdo. Just, and you know, it's not that far-fetched, because Ronald Reagan was you know, a dumpster of Republican right-wing talking points, right? A bunch of trash. Just an actor. So it's not inconceivable that Ronnie Rump can channel him, because he isn't the great man that they all pretend he was. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about Republicans. What I'm here to talk about, what I'm trying to say, is that, you know, we need to concentrate on ourselves. Now, you guys can talk about the tax plan and Republicans and Trump all you want, but I'm not going to be there. I know you're trying to get me and people like me to listen to you, but I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not interested. I'm more interested in how we beat the Clintons and the Obamas, because they're our real threat. You know, Trump and the Republicans, there's nothing new there. Nothing new. Nothing new. We know exactly what they're trying to do, and we know exactly that in 2 years and 4 years we'll be able to just wipe it all away. Just we'll get some Bernie Sanders or somebody, our own little Dobermans, we'll get them in there, and poof, it'll just blow away like a dandelion, you know. One poof, and it's all gone. And they know it too. That's why they're pushing to do as much as they can while they can, because they know when the wind hits it, it's just going to poof into nothing. So they're not our problems. Our problems is that poof, you know, that wind that blows the dandelions away. And I'm sure they do like dandelions and go and try to reestablish themselves elsewhere, right? But that breath, that wind, that's what we have to concentrate on. And what destroys our ability to poof things away is establishment Democrats, because they're really working for the Republicans to take away our breath, to take away our voice. They want to make it so we can't breathe. So we have to concentrate. I know, you know, that Obama seems very nice, and that Hillary, she's got her stick, you know. But the fact is they're trying to take away our breath. They are conspiring with the Republicans to be the establishment, and we have to make sure that doesn't happen. We have to make sure we get progressives in there. Right now, that's our only thing. So we will work with whoever, Reboot Democrats, Justice Democrats, anywhere that there's progressives working to get elected, because that is our weapon. That's our political success, and we'll get it. And these are good people. Don't get me wrong. I'm just bored to death with them trying to tell me about how bad Republicans are. I know how bad they are. I don't need you to tell me. And you're wasting your time and your breath. What you need to be concentrating on is progressive Democrats, getting them elected. You know, instead of making shows about how bad Republicans are, You need to be going door to door. You need to be finding other people. You know, it's the same old thing I've been saying forever. It's like the Suave commercial. She told 2 people, and they told 2 people, and they told 2 people, and it's like multiplying, right? Little boxes, hundreds, until there's millions of little boxes. Well, that's what has to happen here. You need to quit worrying about your own fame and possibly fortune. I'm sure that's what you're thinking. Oh, I can be the next Rachel Maddow or something like that. You know, millionaire. That's not what this is about. This is about getting millions of people to vote for progressives who are interested in our future and changing the world. Huh? That's what this is about, not whether you have a popular program or something. So, you know, that's what we're going to have to do. So we're going to have to take all of our energy and switch it over from programming into boots on the ground. And of course, I'm doing that with let's see if I can find it real quick before we go. So of course I'll be doing that with the Reboot Army. And just to remind you really quick what the Reboot Army is, our description is we pay our soldiers $15 an hour to canvass for reboot candidates. So I'll tell you what I'll promise you is in between now and the beginning of the year, I will set up for donations, and every bit of it will, as I've said before, will go to the Reboot Army. Not one penny of it. The only money that will be given out will be, we pay our soldiers $15 an hour. So people, even, you know, like me, whoever is doing the work, so like everything from you know, printing, and mainly because we're going to keep our costs down to a minimum outside of the people who are actually going door to door. That's where the $15 is going to go primarily. Everything else we will keep to a minimum. So like people who are printing up flyers or doing whatever, all the support work, but it will all be concentrated into these people on the ground. So it says, we pay our soldiers $15 an hour to canvass for reboot candidates. Tired of wearing your feet out for free? And that's referring to all the people who, you know, fuck volunteerism. If it is really important, then they can pay somebody somebody who's getting, you know, blisters on their feet, going door to door. You can pay them. Volunteerism. Anyway, how about doing it for minimum wage instead? Our minimum wage. We're raising money to pay people to get out there and promote our anti-establishment candidates. Need a job, need some extra cash, want to earn it, fighting for a great cause, check us out. So, you know, this is a great thing, and so, like I say, my promise to you is that I will, in between now and the end of the year, assuming I'm not in jail because I'm being persecuted by these intolerant assholes, don't like what I have to say. So, like I say, assuming that. And if that happens, then I'll be right back here as soon as I get out of jail. Okay? So, one way or another, I will be doing this. And I will be setting up the donations page. And we will start taking donations, and I will start promoting this so that I can get more donations. And we will start doing this. We will snowball this until we have people running around all over the place, knocking on doors, ringing doorbells, to get progressives elected. Because this is where it all starts. You know, all the stuff I've had to say over the last 10 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever, however long I've been talking, this is the only way it's going to happen. Nobody else is doing it. You know, I thought when I came up with this idea, oh, I would put it out there and people would copy me and run with it. Well, I guess it's going to be up to me, because I don't see anybody else doing it. I know there aren't tons of people out there already running door to door. Of course, we'll see as it gets closer to the election. But I think I'm going to have to do it. So, you know, I'm going to be the tiny little acorn. Grows into the big oak. Except for, unlike acorn, I won't be beholding to the government, so that they can just come and cut us off like they did acorn in that rude attack that they did. And you have to think that it was only enabled because it was backed by establishment Democrats. I mean, they let them chop that tree down, right? Acorn. I won't let that happen. They won't be able to chop us out because we won't be funded by them. We'll be funded by you, just like you funded Bernie's run. And you'll fund Bernie's next run. This is how we'll do it.
Never before seen video of Hillary Clinton inside the Walmart empire. She's probably one of the most investigative politicians in American history. And this morning you're going to see her in a way you've never seen her before, serving on the board of Walmart. ABC News chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross is here with details on this. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Robin. Although she makes no mention of it in her official biography, Hillary Clinton served for 6 years on the board of Walmart, the huge retailer criticized by many for its treatment of workers and its strident opposition to unions. Walmart's opposition to unions was led for decades by labor lawyer John Tate, who after his retirement proudly recalled at this company meeting in 2004 what he said was his favorite phrase.
Labor unions are nothing but blood-sucking parasites living off of the productive labor of people who work for a living.
Hillary Clinton was not present at this Walmart meeting, but Tate was relied on for years to keep unions out at Walmart, including during the 6 years from 1986 to 92, when Clinton was on the Walmart board and Tate was either an executive or a member of the board himself.
the emails. There were over 60,000 in total sent and received. About half were work-related and went to the State Department, and about half were personal that were not in any way related to my work.
When you speak to the public, you say, I turned over everything. That's, for the most part, a direct quote. When you talk to the public, you say, I turned over everything.
90 to 95% of my work-related emails were in the state system. If they wanted to see them, they would certainly have been able to do so.
You know what? That is maybe the 10th time you have cited that figure today.
It is.
And I have not heard anyone other than you ever cite that figure. Who told you that 90 to 95% of your emails were in the State Department system? Who told you that?
We learned that from the State Department in their analysis of the emails that were already on the system.
The Inspector General report found that less than 1% of State Department emails, record emails, were captured. So they give a number of less than 1%, and you give a number of 90%.
Interest in Libya in 2012.
The server contains personal communications from my husband and me.
Only time I got on the internet, I did 2 emails, and I ordered Christmas presents from a reservation. Otherwise, I found people said embarrassing things on emails. I didn't want to be one of them.
I mean, and how many angels dance on the head of a pin? I have really nothing to. I mean,
represented Wall Street as a senator from New York, and I went to Wall Street in December of 2007, before the big crash that we had, and I basically said, cut it out. Quit foreclosing on homes. Quit engaging in these kinds of speculative behaviors.
Now, who's exactly to blame for the housing crisis? And I think there's plenty of blame to go around. Home buyers who paid extra fees to avoid documenting their income should have known they were getting in over their heads.
Of course we have to deal with the problem that the banks are still too big to fail. We can never let the American taxpayer and middle-class families ever have to bail out the kind of speculative behavior that we saw. But we also have to worry about some of the other players. AIG, a big insurance company, Lehman Brothers, an investment bank. There's this whole area called shadow banking. That's where the experts tell me the next potential problem could come from. So I'm with both Senator Sanders and Governor O'Malley in putting a lot of... I represented New York, and I represented New York on 9/11. When we were attacked, where were we attacked? We were attacked in downtown Manhattan, where Wall Street is. I did spend a whole lot of time and effort helping them rebuild. That was good for New York, it was good for the economy, and it was a way to rebuke the terrorists who had attacked our country.
9/11 was bad.
I agree with you.
As Senator Clinton, the pressures are very different. It's a well-financed industry. A lot of people don't realize that the industry that gave the most money to Washington over the past few years was not the oil industry, was not pharmaceuticals. It was consumer credit products. Those are the people, the credit card companies have been giving money, and they have influence.
And Mrs. Clinton was one of them, a senator.
She has taken money from the groups, and more to the point, she worries about them as a constituency.
So what does this mean, though, to these people, these millions of people out there whom the politicians cavort in front of as favoring the middle class and then are beholden to the powerful interests that undermine the middle class? What does it say about politics today?
This is the scary part about democracy today. We're talking again about the impact of money. The credit industry on this bankruptcy bill has spent tens of millions of dollars lobbying, and as their profits grow, they just throw more into lobbying for how they can get laws that will make it easier and easier and easier to drain money out of the pockets of middle-class families.